What is up, guys? My name is Matt from Magic the Greatening, and today I got a really cool budget deck tech for you. It's going to be Bant tokens. This is definitely a janky deck list, not gonna lie, but it works. So before we get into the video, go ahead, hit that like button, helps out a lot. Subscribe if you are new. We are so close to 2,000 subscribers. And click that eye icon in the top right corner. Vote for my next video's deck tech. Options are the same as my last videos, except I changed the Mardu Hazaret's Lottery to Jeskai. Just changed some of the colors around. Deck definitely works a lot better. Let's get into this one, though. Let's start with the best cards in the deck. We're going to be playing 3 copies of Anointed Procession, 4 copies of Steward of Solidarity, and 4 copies of Pride Sovereign. Okay, Anointed Procession is a no-brainer. Would probably play 4 if this wasn't a budget deck, or try to keep it a budget deck. But definitely it is the most expensive card and the most valuable card in the deck. Steward of Solidarity can, if you have Anointed Procession out, can exert itself and tap to put 2 1/1s out. And Pride Sovereign is just infinitely better than Steward. You still exert it, but if you have a Anointed Processions out, he'll put 4 1/1 white cat creature tokens with lifelink onto the battlefield, and he buffs himself. So really, really strong cards here. We have a little bit of a cat theme running through the deck, more tokens than anything, but there is a slight cat theme to the deck. Pride Sovereign is a big part of that. All right, now let's get into the rest of the creatures, starting at the bottom of the curve and moving up. We're going to be playing 4 copies of Sacred Cat, 3 copies of Proven Combatant, and 3 copies of Anointed Priest. Sacred Cat is a cat that can come back, and if you have Anointed Procession back, it's basically an embalm for 1 that you get 2 1/1 tokens out of this if you have Anointed Processions out. So that is a really cool little thing right there. Proven Combatant is actually not that bad. It's a turn 1 play outside of Sacred Cat. Help us fill out the curve here a little bit. Can help block things early, kill things. Like against mono red, it does really well because it just blocks and kill things, right? It sacrifices itself, but it can come back later in the game for 6 mana and becomes a 4/4. But if you have Anointed Processions out for 6 mana, you get 2 4/4s out. Just super, super solid. Didn't want to just heavily rely on this thing. A pretty bad top deck, but it's good early in the game. And Anointed Priest is super strong in this deck because we're creating a whole bunch of tokens. This can gain us a whole bunch of life. And if you embalm it, it counts itself. And if you have Anointed Processions out, it counts itself twice since you create, or actually 4 times because you can create 2 tokens. Each one will count the other one. So each one will gain you 2 life, if that makes any sense. So if you have Anointed Processions out, you embalm this, you actually gain 4 life instead of 2. But yeah, those are kind of our early game stuff. Gain us some life, good blockers early. Let's move on to the later game stuff. All right, so now we are moving on to our higher curve stuff. We've already talked about Pride Sovereign. We've already talked about Steward of Solidarity. But we haven't talked about the 3 copies of Aven Windguide, 2 copies of Oketra the True, and 3 copies of Regal Caracal. These are the last 3 creatures in the deck, and they're just super, super good. I told you there'd be a slight cat theme running through the deck. We got some warrior token makers, and we got some cat token makers. And Regal Caracal is probably one of the best cat things. Just the synergies between Pride Sovereign, Regal Caracal, and Sacred Cat are just super, super strong. If you give your other cats +1/+1, it's just really, really nice. Oketra is in here simply because you will have the creatures to be able to attack with her. And if you need to, you can just pay 4 mana to create a 1/1. Or if you have Anointed Processions out, you can create 2 1/1s for 4 mana. Also, just a 3/6 double strike indestructible is super nice. And then Aven Windguide was another reason I splashed blue in here, because he's a 2/3 flying vigilance. We don't have much flying things, so kind of needed there. But he says creature tokens you control have flying and vigilance. So not only can our army on a board stall just get up in the air, swing in, and stay back to block, which is super nice with all these 1/1 cat token lifelink things. So, and then the greatest thing about this is he can embalm himself. So if he dies, you have Anointed Processions out, you embalm him, you get 2 of them. Just super, super nice in the deck. Giving your creature tokens flying and vigilance is really, really powerful, especially with how many 1/1s we're going to be creating here. Those are our creatures. Playing a lot of things that just create tokens or can embalm themselves or internalize themselves in some instances. That anointed processions can just abuse that embalm and eternalize triggers. But now let's move to our non-creature spells. And it's pretty standard for what you might see in a token deck. We're playing 3 copies of Cast Out, 2 copies of Dusk Till Dawn, and 3 copies of Oketra's Monument. Yeah, we're a tokens deck, so we will be playing the good old Monument here. It's good in the blue-white form. It's good here. You get this. Your Regal Caracal all of a sudden is a 4 mana that'll put 4 bodies onto the battlefield, and just super, super strong. Everything costs 1 less. You get tokens out of it. Even Wind Guide is a 3 mana, 2/3 flying that gives your tokens flying and vigilance, and also creates a 1/1. Just super strong. And then Dusk Till Dawn is only a 2 of. We have 1 more in the sideboard, but only a 2 of here in the main board. Because ever since the Mono Red Deck 1 Pro Tour, Hour of Devastation, I've been seeing way too many aggro decks, and this is not very good against that. So I wanted at least the 2 copies if you're playing against like a Godfrow's Gift, or you're playing against, just huge, massive creatures. This can wipe their board, keep our board alive. And then the Aftermath card is really what we like, because if they wipe our board, we just get everything back. The thing that can't get back is Regal Caracal, obviously, but it can get back everything else, except for Oketra. Oketra's not going to die from a sweeper, though. Just everything but Regal Caracal comes back from Dawn, so that's really good. And then Cast Out, only a 3 of, the only 3 quote-unquote removal spells in the deck. Really used against Planeswalkers or things that are just a nuisance to us, like Godfrow's Gift decks. So Cast Out is a 3 of in here. Wouldn't be caught dead without playing this card. Let's move to lands, and we're going to be only playing 23 lands. We're not playing anything over 4 mana, except for Regal Caracal. So definitely worth only playing 23 lands. 4 Evolving Wilds. Just to actually thin out our deck. We want to be drawing only action with this deck once we get 4, 5, 6 mana. 5 Forest, 2 Hashep Oasis can help buff up something maybe that has flying or anything like that. 3 Island, 5 Plains, and 4 Shefet Dunes. This is probably one of the best cards in the deck. The only land really worth talking about. It's a desert. We're playing Hashep Oasis as our other desert, but you basically pay 4, sacrifice the desert, and creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. And this is super strong if you have 5, 6, 7, 8 tokens out, Aven Wind Guide out. All your guys will now have +1/+1 until end of turn, and then with Aven Wind Guide, they'll have flying and vigilance, and that's how you usually win the game, if you're not going wide enough and just swinging with the crew. So, Shefet Dunes, I had to play. This card is just so good in a token strategy deck, which we are. Let's move to the sideboard, and this is where things get pretty normal. We're going to be playing 3 Dissenter's Deliverance. Again, that Godfrow's Gift is running around everywhere, a Monuments list going around everywhere. That Monuments deck can take us down. It's got a little bit more powerful stuff in there, but this will help, slow them down, because we're playing green in the deck, and they're not. So, outside of Pride Sovereign, this is the only green card. Well, we have Heroic Intervention here in the sideboard too, but Pride Sovereign is the only green card in the main board, and we have a few green cards here in the sideboard, which gives us a slight edge against blue-white Monument decks. 1 more Dusk Till Dawn. Talked about that already. 3 Heroic Interventions if you're playing against control. A lot of people are playing Sweltering Suns. Kozilek's Return is making a return, even though it's about to rotate out of Standard. Radiant Flames doesn't save us from Hour of Devastation, the actual card, but it's the best we can do here. 4 Life Goes On. 4 Life Goes On. We have a lot of tokens. This card is actually so good against aggro, that red deck aggro. Ruminap Red or Red Desert Winds, whatever you want to call it. This card actually does really well against it. You use your 1/1s, you chump things. You chump a Hazoret, you chump a 2/1, you chump a 1/1, you chump a 3/2, do whatever. It's hard to make our guys not block because we have so many. Our 1/1 dies, their creature might die, and then you just gain 8 life for 1 mana, and your opponent is scratching their head saying, why is he playing this card? And it's literally only for that red matchup. Literally the only reason. Just the moment I saw this card, I was like thinking about Oketra's Last Mercy, but I went with this because it's instant speed, costs 2 less, and our lands untap during our next untap step. So gaining 8 life is pretty brutal against a red deck. And then we just eventually go super wide and we win the game. So life goes on strictly in here against the red matchup. And then 4 negate against control matchups. We want our things like anointed procession resolving. We want our things like regal, caracal, pride sovereign, Aven wind guide resolving, or oketra the true. Just negate is good against any control matchup. That is it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Go ahead, hit that like button if you liked. Subscribe if you are new. Help me reach 2,000 subscribers. And vote for next video's deck tech, top right corner. Talked about it earlier in the video. And go ahead, leave in the comments what was your favorite moment from Pro Tour Hour of Devastation, or just the most interesting moment. Was it when Yam Wing Chun punted that play when he top decked an incendiary flow that could win him the game? Was it when Paulo Vitor DeMarderosa came back 0-2 against Seth Manfield, one of the best Magic players there was at this Pro Tour, and after mulliganing 3 straight times to 5 cards, coming back down 0-2 to win with the reverse sweep? Was it Black-Green Constrictor coming back for a little flashback going to the finals, beating 6 red decks that were just in the top 8? So what was your favorite moment from Pro Tour Hour of Devastation? I would love to know, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.